Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, including the stuff from Darkness Ablaze, make sure you go ahead and check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using the code OmniPoke. For today's video, we are playing some post-rotation Mad Party in the pre-rotation ladder. We're brave enough to continue playing this archetype with that small disadvantage because I'm still focusing on post-rotation as much as possible. Things to bear in mind, the basic differences between the ladder will be if we run into any mill, we have to not worry about that anymore, and Vikavolt is much less likely to be as popular post-rotation. Those are really the only differences with the ladder pre and post as far as I can tell. So this should still be a good indicator of how this Mad Party archetype can perform. I've really been enjoying playing it. You motor through that deck as quickly as possible with the list that I've tried to construct, and yeah, I think it's pretty okay. I think it's relatively poor against Eternatus, but I think against the other stuff you actually have a decent shot. So yeah, this deck I imagine is actually going to sort of sit around tier 2.5. Certainly a solid deck for new players because it's fairly easy to rinse and repeat. There's a bit of nuance between protecting your energies, making sure you don't run out of attackers, that sort of stuff, but it's relatively straightforward. You're just stacking up damage, and this does become threatening in the late game. You get towards that sort of size of deck in hand where you only have outs to win the game, even if you're getting reset stamped or manied, and you always have the T-Break to fall back on as well as Oricorio and stuff. So yeah, I've enjoyed playing it so far. Let's jump into the list. We will start off with the 4/4 line of Polteageist. Polteageist really is the crux of the deck, I feel. It's a 60 hit point stage 1 psychic type that has the T-Break ability, allowing you to discard a Pokemon that has the Mad Party attack from your hand to draw 2 cards. So it's like a Make Do from a Cinccino, but it's only specifically to Mad Party Pokemon. We have a total of 16 Mad Partiers, including the Polteageist themselves as a 4 count, which means our maximum damage output is 300 with this list. Because you can, obviously, you need to have 1 in play, and then you have the rest in the discard pile as long as none are prized. Normally, we're around that sort of 200 or so damage output range, though. That's why you can see that we have a really high count of Boss's Orders, because we're more adept at being able to pick off, Dedennes, Oricorios, Eldegoss, Crobats, all of those sorts of cards from our opponents. To try and uptrade. That's really what we're trying to look to do here. So this T-Break ability gives us some extra draw towards those plays, as well as just helps get fuel in the discard pile. Once you draw into those Mad Partiers, you love T-Breaking them straight into the discard pile. Mad Party is obviously an attack that this Polteageist can use, and we do use it quite often because it means that we are not just reliant on 4 Twin Energy, now we also have 4 Triple Acceleration Energy that can also chip in here. So we're doing 20 times the amount of Pokemon in your discard pile that have that Mad Party attack. We have 4 Polteageist, 4 Bunnelby, 4 Galarian Mr. Rime, and 4 of the non-GX Dedenne, which is also going to be our damage output. So that's what it's all about. So, the Dedenne and the Galarian Mr. Rime, they can basically be seen as vanilla Pokemon. You don't do anything with them other than throw them in the bin. So, Mr. Rime, you see him, you chuck him. You see your Dedennes, you chuck them as well. The only small addition to Dedenne is you can put it down to not get donked because it's a basic, whereas the Galarian Rime is a stage 1. But that's why you're not seeing any Mr. Mime. He is basically completely vanilla except for these 2 words, Mad Party. Same thing for the Dedenne. The Bunnelby, yes, is going to be fuel at times, but also because he is a 2 energy attacker, means that alongside the Polteageist, this is our backup dude, or, our joint attacker, I guess you could say, to swing into our opponent for just 1 energy attachment in that twin energy. That's what it's all about. The rest of the Pokemon line is really just to try and supplement the 60, aside from the Mew, which is here for that bench barrier, preventing all damage done to your bench, of course. This is really nice against Decidueye, which does 20-20 pokes, which is actually quite scary when, your Sinesteas, your Bunnelbys are all very low hit points. They can try and combine it with Zigzagoons to be a bit of a problem. Salamence as well, doing 130 spread around your whole board would be hideous to come up against. Also, even things like Cramorant in Baby Blacephalon lists, because we put down so many free prizes for them for a Cramorant. It is licking its lips at our board, so having immunity to protect against that is going to be really important. Otherwise, it's just draw as many cards as possible. The Dedenne is obviously going to be the centerpiece here, because Dedenne changing discards these Mad Partiers as we go and churns through the deck. We really are trying to churn through for the most part. We also have an Oricorio-GX, Dancer Tribute, great in these one prize archetypes for the most part, so you can continue to get extra hand advantage and work towards your special energies and your next attacker and your bosses, all those sorts of plays. Eldegoss V, an excellent card as well. I'm preferring this to a 4th copy of Boss, because, you know, it's slightly more consistent. And of course, you can throw away the Eldegoss much more happily, knowing that we have 2 Ordinary Rods that we can use late game. So all of our Bull Search then becomes late game outs to Boss as well. So it makes us safer against Reset Stamp, which I think is very decent. And then we play 1 copy of Not Resource Management, what's it called? Primate Wisdom Oranguru, I should say. It can help protect our energy cards. We're playing the full 8, so we do have some leeway to research and DAA change some away as we're motoring through the deck, especially in those opening turns. But Oranguru can protect some throughout the game. It can also help protect bosses, protect all this other stuff as well. Things like Ordinary Rod, Scoop Up Net, these sorts of things are really nice to protect. It can also mean that if we have Dedenne and Research in the same hand, you can put the other one to the top of the deck, so you can play one, dump the hand, and then have another chance to dump the hand all in one turn, which is also very good, because again, we are trying to race to the bottom of the deck. That's really what it's all about. For trainer cards, I have 1 Evo Incense. I like it more than playing a 3rd Roxie. That was the most recent change I've made. It's, you know, a Polteageist or a Mr. Rime, so it's like always damage, it's always getting you draw. It's like an extra just insta-play card, which I think is decent. I wouldn't ever want to play a really high count of these, because they're kind of dead in the early turns, outside of like thinning before you use a Dedenne or something. But more is, you know, just more speed, so that's always fine. For Great Ball, much more of a useful card. That's why we have the maximum copies here, because it can be early game Dedennes, it can be early game Sinistes and Bunnelbys. Quick note on the Sinistea, by the way. I'm using the Sword and Shield one because I think Tea Time will get you out of more bad spots than the other one that places 2 damage counters, I want to say. So this one, yeah, places 2 damage counters. You can play this if you're worried about Big Charm on ADP, because you can't hit 310, but you can hit 300 in the dream scenario. So if you want to split your Sinistes, you can, and don't feel too bad if you don't have Tea Time. The idea is mostly that if I'm ever using that attack, it's because I'm bricking, right? So I want to be able to draw cards. That's kind of the only small thing there, I guess I should mention. For Quick Ball, obviously it's going to help you filter through like Dedennes, filter through Bunnelbys, get you Sinistes in the early game, access to Dedenne-GX as well, obviously important. Ordinary Rods, 2 copies to try and reload your Polteageist or your Bunnelby, especially if you've had to push over the top to reach a knockout on something, and then you can Ordinary Rod stuff back in to be your late game attacker. You can also get things that have been thrown away early, or been like gusted and knocked out, like Oricorios, Eldegoss, those sorts of things, so that's always very decent. 2 copies of Scoop Up Net. You can make some cute plays with your own T-break with Polteageist, because you can use 1 Polteageist, then Scoop Up Net it, and then throw it away with another Polteageist, which is pretty cool. So it can be a way of like recovering damage output, I guess you could say. And also I think it's more versatile than just having a higher Air Balloon count, because it's still going to help you switch out of a bunch of your cards, just not the GXs and the V itself. But yeah, we have 2 Air Balloons to sort of supplement that as well. The supporter line is relatively thin, because most of the time you're either hitting that research button or you're hitting boss. I've got a couple extra Roxie in here, just to give yourself some extra supplemental draw, which I think is like pretty okay. There are times where it's preferable to research, especially if you like haven't got access to your Oranguru and you're just holding too many energies to comfortably get rid of. But for the most part, research and boss are like the gold standard, so having a couple extra in here just makes me a bit more safe. The 3 boss, because like I said, oftentimes you're in that sort of comfortable 200 range where you're dealing with your opponent's copies of these cards most of the time, that they need to set up, so punishing those as much as possible, or finishing things off that we're trying to 2-shot is obviously very good for us. And then we just have 4 copies of the Triple Acceleration and the Twin Energy. The 4 3Cs are less versatile, so you kind of want to use these as much as possible, because you can keep your Twin Energies to then be like retreat outs for your Dedennes, Oricorios, and Eldegosses in that late game, because people can try and stall stuff, so do just bear that in mind. These can only be attached to the Polteageist, so they're less versatile, but also a small note is they're helpful against Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star, which Centiskorch plays, so be slightly aware of that, because we're playing no Counter Stadium right now, so that's like the only other thing worth mentioning. But, you know, for the most part, Twin Energies still work on both of these guys. So, yeah, overall it's pretty okay. For the pre-rotation ladder, I'm not expecting mill, so well, sorry, for post-rotation, I'm not expecting mills, so we're kind of not respecting it in any way, shape, or form, but you have a lot of uses of boss, which is, I guess, the only good thing you have against them. At the moment, I'm not playing any shuffle draw, but you actually don't need to, like, do much against them at all, so if you played, like, one Marnie for shuffle draw, that could make that matchup better if you're trying to play it pre-row. Also, the Vikavolt matchup is, you know, much more common pre-rotation. So if we run into that, it's a bit of a headache. Obviously, they can also E-power through Polteageist, which won't be happening post-rotation, so you have a bit of extra tanking opportunity there. So there's a few like nuances, but overall, we'll just take the ladder as it comes and try and show off some Mad Party action. Like I said, I think it's very good if you're a newer player to pick up a deck like this because it is relatively streamlined, relatively simple in its goal. You're basically always doing the same thing no matter what you're up against, with a few key decision turns, but really it's race to the bottom and try and do a chunk of damage. That's really what it's all about. So let's try and get some games in with Mad Party. I've had like a small win streak a few times throughout the day. I don't think it's like crazy busted. I think it does struggle against Eternatus because they play quad Zigzagoon, quad Scoop Up Net, so they can punish these 30 and 40 hit point numbers that you're looking at right here, but otherwise, I think it's pretty okay. I feel like it'll sit in that sort of mid-tier 2 range from my experience so far. We are going second here, and it is up against Eternatus. We can technically lose the game here, which is kind of monka-esque. Then finding the black market as early as they have is a bit of a worry, because we're going to have to play around that the entire game now. Oh, okay. It's much better than I was expecting. We will start with this in the bin. I really want to try and get a hit in on the Eternatus as quickly as possible, because we can't hit 340, so I probably will just be taking a Dedenne here, and actually I'll bench this Bunnelby and get the attachment in and hope to find a switch out. Because if we can poke him for like 60 or something, that's going to be really useful. 60 or 80, that sort of range. Oh, we find double rod early, which isn't ideal. No switch out yet, but I'm feeling like we're going to have to push. I always feel you really have to push against Eternatus because their hit points is just so high that you are miles out of reach most of the time. We're hoping to find switch out and hopefully some more like quick ball action going on here. We hit Scoop Up Net, we also find a quick ball, so pretty much everything we asked for. We're at 24680, which is decent. I can find another teacup if I want to, or I can just choose to grab an Oricorio thinking that something will definitely get knocked out next turn. Next turn I can Oricorio Research, which is looking decent. I think I want to have something in play to play around Marnie as well, which is quite common in Eternatus. So I think we're doing this, and we're probably just going to be happy with an 80 here. Yeah. Not barnstorming, it's a turn 1 80 damage. It's not quite Night March levels, but it's hopefully setting up for bigger numbers the following turn, because we try and like rinse and repeat the same thing. Like if we can DAA change and research again next turn and get even more of these things in the bin and T-breaks on top of that, you can see how the damage does start to scale, right? We're actually going to com in a Eternatus V max for a regular V. The 30 poke with 10 from the from their Zigzagoons later on is kind of the play he's going for here. And obviously this is just a one prizer right now with the black market activated. We will take another teacup, I think. So let's break this. Incense seems very good because it can be a Rime for some more cardboard. We're at 120, I think. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I definitely want to Scoop Up Net, even though it's losing energy here. Because it's too easy for the bats. And this is how we guarantee the knockout here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, so 14 is enough to take our 1 prize knockout. Definitely like the idea of air ballooning. We can go deeper here. We actually hit a Bunnelby, which is okay. I'm trying to think. With 2 Ordinary Rods gone, I have to be super careful with this, so I think I won't be DAA changing. Otherwise, I definitely would have considered it. I'll play this. It's bad against Absol. Guess I can put it here. Alright, we'll take our 1 prize Sad Face knockout. Definitely something you could think about. Just playing like 1 swell would make this a little bit happier, you know. They're going to Marnie us here. We do have a Dark Weakness on Polteageist, so they only need to Power Excel. Find a boss, which is going to be nice. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we need to go to 9 to be able to start bossing bats. But by the looks of things, we'll have Oricorio to draw us some cards. We'll have Roxie. Oh no, we won't have Roxie, but we'll have T-Break. We already have the energy established. The hope is we can start just ignoring his stuff, kind of thing. Alright, there's the Dread End. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so we need to get to 9. So that we can start detonating these guys. That's our 9th, which is cool. We can dance. We can have a sip. Triple acceleration is what we want to see. Don't want to protect stuff around Marnie, I guess. I'm pretty okay against Marnie, to be honest. Yeah, let's just party through this. The good news is he didn't have the early game, like, Ziggy spam. I'm slightly worried about this Sinistea, because he still has so many Zigs to go. At least, he's played a decent amount of his Bull Search, and he's played a lot of Scoop Nets, but could be Curse the Devil right now. He could be seeing a shed load of Ziggies come down to eat up this, drink up this tea, I guess. But it's important for us to put these down because it's an extra energy drop for us. He's actually just grabbed the Hooper, which is reasonable. Our double rod hitting the bin is so yikes when we also got rid of Eldegoss. Alright, looks like he's actually putting it active, which I don't really agree with too much. This should definitely be on the Sinistea, right? Well, we can draw some more cards. We'll have a little sip on Mr. Rime. We'll consider Roxieing for 3 cards. Kind of interested in Roxieing. We can go for the active because he's got a capture energy for his turn attachment. can see just how low we can go. Keeping more ball search outs for Dedenne seems reasonable. I'm worried that our last boss isn't here. Feels like it's prized because it's either our bottom card or it's our last prize. Now playing the Polty here is bad against Stamp / Marnie, but I feel like we're so safe against Marnie and Stamp already that it's kind of okay. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say that, but there's an argument for just swinging with the bunny there. Oh, nice. We took it as our last prize. Lovely job. Alright, so it looks like we're actually going to beat the early black market play. We survived the Ziggy spam, so that's all it takes, really. Yep, he's just going to dread end, so we are over the line against him, which is nice. So Eternatus is one of the most difficult matchups, I would say, but he didn't get any Zig spam at all. I don't know if his list just wasn't a Zig spam kind of list. But yeah, we're just there, man. We're just throwing it all down. Nice. We will go into another game. Like I said, a lot of these decks are forced for setup reasons just to put those sorts of cards down to play, like, to keep up with the tempo. So yes, a swell would have helped at like any time during the game there, but still. Gust is pretty bust. We always had a pretty ridiculous hand size there. It didn't really disrupt too much. Things to note are tempo damage is super important against VMAX decks. If you can do it against Centiskorch, Eternatus, even against ADP, it's super, super big to try and get that early 80 or 60 or so prod. In that sort of range, it's such a big deal for you to be able to actually, like, get over them, kind of thing. But when we're firing on all cylinders, we're pretty dangerous. We're up against a fire deck, so I'm imagining they're making us go first, and that's exactly what's happening. Happy to see that hand go back in. Jeez. Boss is definitely an integral part of this deck. He's the man. Not the best hand, but we can DAA change. We can get a couple party people in the bin. An extra party person can hit the bin now. I could choose to Oranguru to protect a triple acceleration, but the fire deck is looking like it's multi-prize, so I feel like we can probably just let this one slide and get extra damage in the bin instead. Before I make the decision, just making sure I have enough energies to see myself through. Oh, we've prized 2 teacups. That's really bad for us. I'm binning 2 teacups, and I've prized 2 teacups. That is not good news. Polteageist is a big part of this deck, that's for sure. So, trying to access a rod as quickly as possible will be important, I feel. Bunnelby's nice, so I can get an attachment in. He technically could attach Boss's Orders Hotburn GX the Bunnelby, but I feel like that's definitely not what he's looking to do. So I feel relatively comfortable with this play. $60 damage already in there. No Sinesteas, but also no teacups to play anyway, so that's not going to change much in terms of our outs for next turn. I'm going to start by quick balling the boss, so they're not making the turn 1 boss hot burn play, which could have been fun. Looks like instead they're looking for a turn 1 flare starter. We're up against Senti. Senti is a big boy. A lot of health. They can make him even bigger. So that's always a worry. If we can turn 1 get a knockout on a Volk though, we can map out our prizes quite happily in like Volk, Heatran, Senti. They oftentimes can't weave in boss that often because they're usually having to continue weldering, but Centiskorch doesn't need much damage in this matchup at all just to keep up with damage. Do they find the switch out? No, they don't, so really slow turn from them as well. Great Ball's a good rip from us so we can get some extra damage rocking. Still have a lot of ball search compared to the researches, so I'm happy to research first here. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 so far. We stay at 16, which sucks. We were super close. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. It's not the worst, though. It's not the worst. If we're making that play, I probably want to keep this quick ball around. I probably also just want to bench this guy. Next turn we're looking to teacup, right? Because we need to use these triples at some point. Alright. Let's just swing. It's so rare that they hand disrupt that I think we can get away with this. We know they currently don't have a switch card in their hand. They do have a research though. Tossing a stamp is good news. There's their switch out. There's a Senti on the bench as well. Alright, we're going to start with the quick ball. Trying to figure out how I'm going to play this turn because I want to maximize my odds to be able to Oricorio into a teacup so I can actually use my triple acceleration. So I think I'll take this. Then we'll Ordinary Rod 2 teacups. Feels really weird putting damage back into the deck, but 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we've got plenty if I'm going to actually boss Heatran here if I really want to. Okay, boss Heatran still an option with the Bunnelby now, which is kind of okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 140. Yeah, I feel like we just take that play. The Centiskorch, like, the 140 on the Centiskorch isn't so good because we're just, like, so sad for a Malolana or Big Charms, any of those sorts of plays, so. We will just party on through this guy. A teacup from prizes is pretty good. Mr. Rime from prizes, also very good. They can attach and boss a Dedenne, but they can't boss the Oricorio. Turns out they're just weldering anyway to the bench. They probably still want to attach one to the active. Oh no, they can get one from the discard pile. That's fine. Yep. They can still attach active, because now they're opening up boss for themselves to be useful. I'm only really worried if they're playing healing cards from how the start has gone. Because they're choosing not to use their one prize Pokemon, they're trying to use the Centiskorch as much as possible. Alright, let's draw 3 cards. We are working our way to the bottom. Let's have a sip of tea. We're at 200 damage. We have no Bunnelbys left, but we still have a Rod. And we have Sinesteas and Dedennes. I really want to access a Sinistea this turn. It's really sour that we still have 3 down here. I could Eldegoss for rocks if I really want to. Just to get rid of the Oranguru. Feels like such a waste, but don't really see much else I can do here. Outside of just swing and say I don't have access to Sinistea next turn. I have to Ordinary Rod Oricorio into Bunnelby. 4, 8, 9, 10. The only reason I'm not a super big fan of using the Rod now is because I feel like I want to maximize the damage. Okay, there's a teacup. Very happy to see it. That was a good Roxie. And we want to maximize damage on this guy so that we're playing around the Malolana as much as we can. So we're always in range, so we're always in reach of it. So not ordinary rodding because we want to get maximum damage to play around Malolana, if that wasn't clear. And kept getting lost in my own train of thought. He's actually going to run away here just to hit us with a Volt by the looks of things. Which means Oricorio is still going to be live for next turn, which is looking pretty sweet. Unless he's bossing Eldegoss, which is a worry. Researching. Okay, nice. We do still have to be a little concerned about Wondrous Labyrinth. That's like the last card I'm afraid of, so I'll probably try and use a bunny here rather than a Polte. So we still have 2 Poltes in the deck, and we have 0 bunnies. Let's put 2 bunnies back in. That's Oricorio for 3. It's Great Ball for a bunny if we miss one. And now I can Great Ball for the teacup. Not this one, this one. Have a break. Okay, so if he boss and does that, we actually lose. So I need to play this one. I'm so paranoid of this Wondrous Labyrinth because I think it's the only way I'm losing here. Bossing now means I need to boss again next turn. I don't think I'm super ready for that sort of play, so And we'll just party like mad. We are gust away from game with an Oricorio in play. No Dedennes left to use, I don't think, because I think one's still in the prizes. So it's not that... We're not that safe against Stamp or Marnie. But it's only 3. We're still getting 4 cards, so... Potentially more. Is he able to gust Oricorio here? Yes. Alright. Making some fancy fire energy plays. So he's trying to trap, but he doesn't have the scary, scary stadium, so we can just pay retreat with our twin energy that's still in the deck, which we can check for here. Yes. Nice. So yeah, when it gets to the end game, you have to be very careful about your resources. That's the only thing that I feel is like the nuance of the deck. That's the only real... Like, it's having that trade-off of not losing to Stamp or Marnies and the upside of... or like, just making sure you have just enough to not lose to those sorts of wildcard plays. Like the Panic Boss from them, or the Wondrous Labyrinth knockout kind of play. Alright, we get to go first again, which is nice. So far we've beaten 2 of the big VMAXs. Once again, have a relatively workable hand. We've got 2 Great Balls to work off of. You'll love to see that. Very cool. Good opening. Ugh, terrible follow-up. Ideal top deck is a teacup, obviously, so we can actually use one of these triple accelerations. Opponent's also playing Great Balls. Oh, Spiritomb. Oh yes, that tough tomb. Okay. Tufty tomb. Let's see. Can obviously one-shot Sinistea. As long as he finds energy. Looks like this is all pre-DAA change. Going back into the Jirachi. Don't know how much I like that, seeing as though it's so easy for him to take a knockout with just an energy card. He's already played a lot of his switch outs. Or a decent amount of his switch outs. He may have made it more likely that we're alive here. Yeah, I don't know if I like that switch too much. That Hooper with the Toughness Cape is going to be a real pain if he can use that this turn, for sure, because we are not able to deal with that very easily. Okay, he has a research into Jirachi, so he should be fine on the switch out, but he took a risk with it. That's the spike move. A new way of getting damage onto your own dudes. He does indeed find a switch out. So you can start jinxing to his own tombs, you see. Spite, jinx off the spike muff stuff. Only very worried if he's able to toughen escape this active. Slightly worried still, but less worried if he doesn't toughen escape. Oh! He definitely should have tough escaped the front. The damage output isn't the problem. You're up against teacups, my dude. Ooh, that's also the best draw in the deck. Excellent. Let's see what these two cards bring us, because we need a lot here. I guess another Sinistea is decent. We can take a one prize knockout at least. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. These don't resist Psychic, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. This is a 90. Alright, I guess we are just taking out one of these guys. I feel like we're a little unfavored against Spiritomb when they get the first prize in on us. Feels very, very much like easy race. They should be easily able to keep up with bosses just as much as we are, so if not more. So I think we're a little unfavored here. Right, this time he's not risking missing attach. Or not risking missing a switch card, I should say. There's his Oricorio. At least he's putting down multiple as well, so he's, you know, at least keeping up with us. Or following suit, I guess. I have to be ultra careful about my Oricorio because it's weak to dark, and I don't want him to be able to... If I can deal with... Like, his board is so full that, Oh, okay. He's using his hide energy for freedom of retreat. So I guess he's still looking for the boss now. If he can boss a Dedenne now, I feel pretty sad about this situation. Well, I kind of need this teacup to be alive, so... Peaks and troughs. Got the keeper. Plays for keeps, that's for sure. Spike with value coming in with the keeps. Hooper, which makes sense. 3, 4, 5, 6, 120 right now. Alright, he's spreading his damage around, and he's going to take the knockout on the teacup. Damaging my own Dedenne, is that going to be a problem against Spikemuth? I mean, maybe, but I should do this anyway, just in case I draw Twin Energy Bunnelby. Research is good. Have a look at this Great Ball. Roxie looking safer than Research here, so I might just take the Eldegoss. Let's think about damage. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is 160. So I like the look of Eldegoss Roxie. Oof, right at the end we hit the teacup, which is a relief. Kind of want to keep going with the hand. We have no more baby teacups, so I might rod back a baby teacup here. Sinistea. Before I do my ordinary rod, before I drink my tea. Because all we have in our hand is the triple accelerations. Take the 2, we party. We keep up in the race, but I'm pretty sure as long as this guy has enough bosses, we should be in trouble. Only good news is 1 is gone right now, but his hand size is monstrous. We have no hand disruption in the deck. The only other hope is that he somehow finds it difficult to access more Spiritombs, but again, that's not looking super likely. So I think in a 1 prize v 1 prize matchup, it's not ideal for us. He's drawn a chunk of cardboard. There's a great catcher, which is obviously very good for him to take an easy Oricorio knockout. Does he have more Spiritombs to boot though? Maybe? No. Okay. But he's still just a boss away and I have no hand disruption. So I probably need to try and make him go the longer route here, right? And just hope that he's played too many of his switch outs and stuff. Only 1 boss played. He must be playing more than 1 boss, 1 great catcher if he's a Spiritomb deck, right? I probably just have to go for the active here. It doesn't feel good, but I feel like it's better than any other play we have. Yeah, it really feels bad though. I'll give him 3 more cards to play with as well. Let me think about this. 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14 in his hand, 15 in his hand. 15 in hand. If I take the Oricorio out, he just needs a boss, and he also has Jirachi to try and get him there. So he has 21 cards to dig. Basically, his last boss has to be in his bottom 9 for me to have a chance. Even then, he could have more Dedennes. But is that more likely than him being able to make a Spiritomb to just knock out a Polteageist over 2 turns anyway? Yeah, I probably need to take this Gus KO and just hope that boss is bottom 9, I guess. Again, it feels terrible, obviously, but we just say sometimes boss is bottom 9. We tell ourselves that. But I feel like it doesn't matter too much. He didn't go for the Jirachi, which means he's either holding game already or he's oh, he's gonna hide just for the extra damage on Spiritomb. That's also very fair. It's a Cape of Toughness. That's not one of the outs for him. Sometimes bottom 9. Jirachi isn't a Dedenne. Could Jinx before the Scoop Up Net, but chose not to. Oh, he's just double dipping the Wish. Still looking for boss, I guess. Quick Ball can now be Dedenne-GX if he has more of them, or it could be Eldegoss if he plays that. More Stellar Wishes, I guess. never thought we'd get this far, so I didn't even think about my next turn. Sometimes lucky. Sometimes he just switches and takes a one-prize knockout. It's a lot of spite to build up. It's either a super extended BM or